Hey everybody, my name is Dr. Cade. I'm back today here with Rooted Apothecary and just going to talk a little bit about the change in seasons. Typically, we always recommend, eating with the seasons, getting some diversity in the foods, the nutrients, and mineral complexes that you have that are offered in the seasons. And so that's a huge, huge thing. And we're also going to branch that topic of diversity with food, also with diversity in supplementation today, with a special focus on gut health. So why don't we talk a little bit about gut health? So I think if you've listened to any of our topics in the past, or if you're into natural health at all, you know the importance of gut health. Really, the gut health is critical in so many other functions of the body and our overall health. So one example is a major part of our immune system lives in the gut. A ton of our white blood cells are stored there. And so if we don't have a healthy gut, our body is not going to have a healthy immune response. And sometimes that might create an under response to the pathogens at hand, that might create an overreaction to the pathogens at hand. So it's super important to have a very healthy gut. Another thing that the gut is responsible for is brain health. A lot of the neurotransmitters that are critical for brain function, for our mood, to fall asleep, to stay asleep, to wake up and be energetic, and things like ADD, insomnia, depression, anxiety. The majority of the neurotransmitters are actually made in the gut. And so again, if we don't have a healthy gut, we know that we're going to actually end up with an unhealthy brain. And there's a wonderful book out there by Dr. I think his name is Emmerin Mayer, and it's called The Mind-Gut Connection. And it goes through all the science that we know about, again, between the link between the gut and the brain. Another one that's really, really important for gut health, that's linked to gut health, is actually skin health. And so many of us try to treat, whether it's eczema or psoriasis or different types of skin conditions that we're unhappy looking at and seeing. Acne would be included in that. Is we try to treat the skin, right? Instead of going down and treating the skin from the inside out, we try to treat it from the outside. And so I think one of the best analogies I've heard is trying to, if you're trying to grow a tree or grow tomatoes or grow some type of plant in your garden, you really want to treat the roots and not treat the leaves. And I hope that makes sense, right? We want to treat the roots, the soil, the water, the nutrients that are in there, and the sunlight, right? Of course, that plant gets. That's so critical, instead of just trying to miss something on those leaves to try to affect the overall health. So the same thing goes with us. So again, we've got beyond digestive health, that's important, obviously, for gut health, brain health, skin health, and immune health. And those are just kind of the breaking point there, or the tip of the iceberg, if you will, for overall gut health. So if you're struggling with gut health, I think there's a million things that you can do. But the things that we'll talk about today is, again, increasing the diversity in eating with the seasons, increasing diversity with probiotics. So what I wanted to do with focusing on probiotics is just show you an example of some of the real important, or I shouldn't say maybe important, I should say maybe popular would be a better term, some of the real popular probiotics that are out there. So let's look at Activia here. All right, this is one that you've seen on TV, you've seen at the grocery store. Lots and lots of people are out there. And there's no doubt that this, in some part, is probably going to help some people get some probiotics in their tummy. So we're going to pick on the strawberry flavor. And we're going to see if there's anything better that we can do that's going to be a better bang for your buck, that's going to help you achieve your goals, both in the short term and the long term. So let's look at strawberry. So let's look at the nutritional facts first. So when I'm scrolling down through here, I don't really love reading this. I don't think that this is super important, but one thing I just wanted to highlight was our total sugars. And total sugars in this probiotic drink from Activia is 22 grams of sugars. So let's go down into the ingredients, which I think is much more important, so that we know exactly what's in there. Let's go down through the ingredients. So the first one is going to be cultured reduced fat milk, right? So what we typically do with products like Activia is that we'll take cow or milk from a cow, and ideally we want that cow to be on an open pasture eating grass. But typically these types of mass market products are from cows that are extremely, extremely unhealthy. They're pregnant and lactating their entire life, which is completely shortened because of the unhealthy conditions that the animal is in. And when we get that milk, we immediately pasteurize it, right? And we pasteurize it to kill the bad bacteria, right? But I think if we take that one step further, when we expose these types of animal products to high heat, and these oils and these fats and these proteins, we don't just kill the bad bacteria, but we destroy the good bacteria as well. And we also denature the protein and the fat structures that are in that milk, right? And so after we have that product that's been pasteurized and heated up, then we're calling it cultured reduced fat. So we're actually putting cultures, good bacteria, back in that that pasteurized milk that we've just destroyed all the good bacteria. It kind of seems a little bit backwards, doesn't it? We're taking all that fat out of there, and typically the fat from that animal, it should be healthy. Again, if it's grass-fed, it's organic, it's pastured, but we're taking all that fat out of there. What's left in there? Again, it's the denatured protein structure, and then it's also going to be lots and lots of sugar. That's what's left to make it taste okay. Then we got water, we've got sugar. More sugar we're adding some protein in there. Again, we talked about it being denatured if it's been exposed to high heat. We've got some more sugar, fructose there, and we go a little bit further down, 1% strawberry puree, which is pretty interesting. We're only getting a little bit of strawberry in this strawberry flavored drink. We're getting some more sugar in the way of modified cornstarch. We're getting some other things in here. I'm going to go down a little bit further. We get this potassium sorbate, which is a preservative that is not too healthy. And then all the way down at the bottom here, we've got our list of cultures, the probiotics that are in here. We've got one strain here, right? We've got one strain here. We've got another strain here. We've got a third here, and a fourth strain here. So we've got 4 different strains of probiotics. And what we don't see on here is exactly how much they're promising that's actually in that bottle. I see right here on the front of this, it says billions of live and active probiotics. Now, we don't, again, know the exact number, but they'll measure that by the time it leaves the factory. It's not measured at the time that you consume it, right? So it could be less if we haven't done a good job at keeping that bacteria alive. They are very fragile. Typically, they have to be refrigerated in this state. So my concern is, if our end goal is to try to populate our gut with good bacteria, our body temperature is not refrigerated, but temperature like this Activia must be kept in, right? It's at a very high heat. And then also the acidity of the stomach is obviously not conducive to keeping probiotics alive. We want to have these probiotics survive the heat of our body temperature and the acidity of our stomach acid, and then populate our gut. And when I look at Activia, I'm not 100% sold that that's happening in a big definitive way. So what do I recommend instead? Some of my favorite probiotics are this one here. I'm going to go through a couple so that you can see. But this is my absolute favorite, this TerraFlora. And what's different about this one is that it's a spore-based probiotic. Now, this isn't right for everybody, so make sure that you do your research on it. But the strains of bacteria in here are in a spore-based form instead of a raw bacterial state, right? So that spore is going to help protect that bacteria when it hits the heat of your body temperature. And then while it hits the acidity of the stomach acid, so that we have a live probiotic by the time it hits our gut. These probiotics, as you can see, right, the viability is much greater, and the results of populating the gut are much greater. There's also prebiotics in here, and the prebiotics are the good food so that the probiotics, the actual bacteria strains, can actually have a food source to live and diversify and colonize inside the gut. So this probiotic is fantastic. They've got a couple different types. They've got a daily care. They've got an advanced care that they're adding a couple different things here to actually help people specifically with autoimmune issues to get the results that they're after. They've got a deep immune, and they've got a women's daily. So please go explore this line. It's from a company called Enviromedica. It's fantastic. It's the best results I've ever gotten from a probiotic, both personally and professionally with the functional medicine patients that we work with. But if you remember what I was saying about diversifying, I think it's very important that you're not on the same probiotic all the time. Just like it's important to eat with the seasons and get a different mineral complex, different colors, different vitamins from the fruits and vegetables that we're eating from the land. It's important to do the same thing with our supplementation. So again, we just talked about TerraFlora from a company called Enviromedica. Next one that I'll talk about is this Claire Symbiotic. And now this is also a spore-based probiotic and a prebiotic. So both of these are shelf stable. You don't have to keep them refrigerated. And again, the idea is to have these spores be able to populate the gut and survive the temperature and the acidity of the stomach acid. And so you can see the diversity in strains here is much greater than what we were looking at specifically from Activia. And the numbers are much, much greater. So this one here is a 50 billion blend. And that is even higher than the TerraFlora. And the strains are a little bit different. So again, rotating between these two brands or even adding a third one in to further diversify, I think is very, very smart. So do you have to buy all three at once and change that every day? I don't think so. I think going through a bottle or two of this and then switching to a bottle or two of this, so that, again, your body is getting that diversification. So if you are dealing with gut issues, whether it is, again, a neurological and linked to a gut issue, if it's skin issues, if it's an autoimmune and Hashimoto's thyroiditis, if you're dealing with immune deficiencies, I'm definitely going to recommend that you go and talk with a couple of the doctors that are on our medical advisory board. And Dr. Taylor Crick of Washington Wellness Center is absolutely amazing. Wonderful doc. He puts out a ton of content. This is his website here, washwellnesscenter.com. He's got recipes and, again, loads of content where he's going and diving deeper into these topics we're talking about today, from diversification in food to supplementation to autoimmune issues. He does a really, really good job. And then another doctor that's on our medical advisory board is this Dr. David Jockers. And both of these two guys are longtime friends of mine, and I respect them personally and professionally. But Dr. Jockers, the amount of content that him and his team put out over the last 10 years is just astounding. So if you are looking for something that's got credible, amazing advice for you that you can get started on for free at home, please check out these Dr. Jockers' website and Dr. Crick's website. It's fantastic. I trust them completely and encourage you, if you are looking to work with a functional medicine practitioner remotely, specifically on the topics of gut health and food, autoimmune issues, and your overall health, please reach out to both of these doctors. So in closing, the last thing I want to talk about, and I won't really talk too much about it, I'm just going to encourage you to go look into it yourself, is this Ion Biome product. This stuff is absolutely fantastic, and it's put together and formulated and owned by a Dr. Zach Bush. He's a medical doctor. Guy's just got a heart of gold. He puts out a ton of amazing content as well. But what this is supposed to protect you from is parasites, is from pesticides, from food allergies, leaky gut, and all sorts of other things that are gut related, and how those things can actually seep in through the gut if we don't protect that tissue and create systemic issues. So with that being said, you've got some homework. I hope that we're helpful today in your health journey and looking into all of this stuff a little bit more. But my name is Dr. Cade with Rooted Apothecary. We're just so happy to help you and try to give you as much content as we possibly can, so that you can continue to grow your health and your family's health. So thank you for being a part of our family. You can find more about us at rootedapoth.com. You can find us on our website, our social channels, and please sign up for our newsletter. We're always doing discounts and, again, promoting this content that we know is going to change your life. So thank you again for being a part of our family. We'll talk to you soon.